Hey everybody, welcome to the Saturday show on the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. We've got a great show coming up for you tonight. Not only the news, the Discord question of the week, as well as some ghost and creature, cryptid corner stuff, but we got a sneak peek of a brand new trailer coming out of a new documentary, and I'm really excited to show you guys this. So buckle up, it's about to get spooky. Give me a couple of minutes and we're going to join the network and get this ball rolling. So hope you guys are ready. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Saturday edition of the Paranormal Portal. You've got me here. I'm Brent Thomas, creator and host of the Paranormal Portal, and I am joined tonight by the big branch himself. Mr. Sheldon Thomas is here. How you doing, Sheldon?
Doing great. Glad to be here as always on this wonderful Saturday night. I'm feeling warm, feeling comfy. Hopefully everyone is too. How are you doing today?
I'm all warm and comfy too. I guess that's good. Yeah, I'm all snuggly here. But yeah, how you been? Good?
Oh, been amazing. Yeah. Couldn't be better.
Couldn't
be on this wintry, chilly night.
Yeah, it's cold over there. I saw that.
Yeah.
Checked the temperature and I was like, oh, it's warmer here.
Ooh.
Actually.
Oh God.
What do you do? It's tis the season or whatever. But welcome everybody. We've got a lot of things to get through here tonight. Of course, we're going to get into the news here in just a second. But I do want to let you know that while we are broadcasting on TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live as well, during the first break, those of you on YouTube are going to be treated to a sneak peek of a brand new trailer of a new Bigfoot documentary that's coming out on the 1st of December. And it's available on Prime. So I'm going to be showcasing a new trailer for you guys. And for those of you that are following on Facebook and stuff, you've already seen it. But we're going to broadcast it here on the show. So you get to check it out in person. And hopefully you guys like it. But anyway, we got a lot of things to get to. As always, remember to keep your hands and feet inside of the vehicle at all times, because while you're traveling through the portal, you just never know. You might pull back a stump if you're not careful. So you got to keep them in. Be safe and sit back and relax. Grab a libation of your choice, and we're going to get into this. Probably the first place to start, Sheldon, is the news. What do you say?
That's absolutely the best place to start.
The best. Let's see if it is the best. Let's get into it. Let's head to the news. Laughter abounding. Most trusted news. That's the portal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. I'm your anchor, Brent Thomas, and Sheldon is my co-anchor tonight as we dive into the news. And I've pulled up a whole bunch of things from the archives as well, because just not a lot of new news between yesterday and today. But there is some, and so let's get to that right away. There's a couple newer things here going on, and the first one's kind of disturbing. I didn't know these things kind of just dropped off every once in a while, but apparently that might be a thing. I'm not sure. But the first article up for grabs tonight is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Please check out that site. It's an amazing site. I keep promoting them because, honest to God, when I find a really good site, I always want to let you guys know about it. And I know I'm redundant, but this is really a spectacular site. They oftentimes break news before I've ever heard of it anywhere else. Like sometimes on the Paranormal Portal, believe it or not, I've broken news that's not appeared anywhere else except on Unexplained-Mysteries. At least in my experience, I've never seen it anywhere. And then suddenly, after we cover it on the show, it shows up everywhere. So I'm kind of proud of that. But the first article up for grabs tonight is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. This is a weird one. Investigators identify the owner of a foot found in a Yellowstone hot pool.
Oh.
Do people just lose feet in those things, or how does this work? I don't understand. I think they're pretty well connected usually. So let's find out what it says, because the headline alone had me reeling like, ooh, can't wait to dig into this.
Yeah.
It says the unattached appendage has been found floating in the scalding hot water by park staff earlier this year. No, this isn't the plot of a new horror-themed Cinderella reboot. Is this your foot? It's supposed to be a slipper, for God's sakes. Even though it might sound like one, investigators have spent months on the grim task of trying to track down the individual whose foot was found floating in the abyss pool in Yellowstone's West Thumb Geyser Basin back in August. Now at last, the mystery has been solved, at least in part, by the revelation that the foot actually belonged to a 70-year-old Ilhoon Rowe from Los Angeles. Wow. He didn't know he lost a foot? How come it took that long? Exactly how he managed to end up in the pool, which can reach temperatures of 60 degrees Celsius, remains unclear, but authorities have since tracked down and informed his relatives. Well, where's the rest of him then? I mean, they found a foot.
Wait.
That's great, but where's the rest of the guy if they had to inform the relatives? Whatever happened to Rowe must have occurred sometime between July 31st, but there were no witnesses, meaning that we may never know for sure what type of mishap ultimately led to his demise. Ooh, that's creepier.
Oh,
that's a little darker spin on it. The incident
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just thought he'd go for a dip. The incident is similar to what happened to 23-year-old Colin Nathaniel Scott, who fell into one of the park's hot springs and was killed almost instantly back in 2016. Suffice to say, if you're visiting the park, it's best to avoid venturing too close to the edge. Oh, my God. Do you think they went for a swim? Do you think?
Oh, no.
Oh,
that could be.
It's a hot spring. They're good for you. No, they're not. You'll pop off feet and stuff. Oh, that's really dark. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a lot more macabre than what I was intending.
Oh my God. They made it sound like he just, lost a foot and he's just back in LA.
Like he's a gecko and he grew a new one or something. It's like, what the hell's going on? So I don't know. That's really pretty tragic, but
oh, that's sad.
Yeah. I don't know how you identify a foot. That's the weird part. It's like, I mean, isn't it kind of cooked at that point, or what? I don't know. Anyway,
well, it's 60 degrees. I don't know.
What is 60 degrees Celsius? I don't even know.
Isn't boiling 100 Celsius?
It might be. I don't know. I really don't know the Celsius stuff at all. So some of our worldly listeners in the chat could definitely let us know. Is 60?
Yeah, we're Americans.
Or you could Google it and just see what 60 degrees Celsius is in the Fahrenheit.
Let's see. 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
104?
40.
140. Oh, yeah, that's a different game.
I see.
Yeah,
I
that
see.
that would
Okay, never mind.
that's kind of all out of the comfort range of a hot tub. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really dark. Eesh. Well, sorry to that guy. I'm sorry you lost your foot and everything else, but hope you're doing better. I don't know. What are you saying? Something like that. Ugh. Sorry about that, folks. I don't mean to chuckle, but it's really weird.
You're sitting there laughing. Oh, some guy died.
I just thought he lost a foot. It's
I
like,
know they made it sound weird.
yeah, I mean, wouldn't you know you lost a foot? How do you get home? He's like hopping all of a sudden. Why am I hopping? Oh, where'd
They
that
made it
go?
sound, yeah.
Where'd that thing go? You know, like he had a flat tire or something. It's like, no. He
Yeah,
lost,
the foot.
yeah, his foot. Was like,
I'm done.
yep. All right. UFOs are no laughing matter for France's real life ovni hunters. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. We're going to get into some UFO stuff here on the portal.
Oh, also, we have a new member. I am Pam. Thank you very much.
I am Pam. Aw, thank you, Pam. Pam's a sweetheart. Pam's been with us for a long time, and we're thrilled to have you as part of the family. And well, you've always been part of the family, but you know what I mean. That really helps out. Thank you so much. This one's going to be a long one. Obviously, I can't read it all. But I can tell you that the team of dedicated UFO investigators in France has been studying the phenomena for the last 45 years. Vincent Costas of France National Center for Space Studies, or CNES, takes a look at the history, goals, and activities of this long-running endeavor. In France, the study of an information group on unidentified aerospace phenomena, or GAIPAN. Yay, more acronyms. Just give me more. I love them.
More.
Has been investigating unidentified aerial phenomena, for more commonly known as UFOs, for the past 45 years, attached to the National Center for Space Studies, or CNES. I don't know how that works out. But GAIPAN has been invited by NASA to present its activities and working methods before a newly established independent team that will study data and set up methods to analyze unusual phenomena observed in the sky. Well, they've been at it for 45 years. That's a lot longer than NASA's even been paying attention, so that's good. At least they're deferring to somebody that actually took it seriously. The existence of UFO force in France has entered the country's popular imagination in recent years, with the Canal Plus comedy drama series OVNIs, the French term for UFOs. In its quest for realism, the series depicts equipment used for GAIPAN investigators, including the SIM OVNI, which we use to create simulations of the phenomena described in eyewitness accounts. Okay. So
Yeah.
NASA's consulting a little bit. I'll bet you that doesn't come cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's more of your tax dollars hard at work, folks. NASA needs to talk to somebody that's been taking it seriously. And that in and of itself, I guess, is a good thing. But, I don't know what NASA's really... I mean, just start looking at the sky. When you see stuff you can't explain, hey, UFO, done. Look for other stuff that you don't understand. It's it's really not rocket science. Although maybe they have some really, really robust and great approaches to it. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a UFO investigator by any measure. Never done it. I've seen the UFO stuff. I believe in it, absolutely. But I don't know if there's a criteria that really makes sense over anything else. It's because with all of this stuff, you can't really plan for it. It just happens when it happens. And it happens how it happens. And it happens where it happens. I mean, how much can you really strategize with this stuff? But I don't know. Maybe it's worth a shot. Maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows? But anyway, NASA's asking questions because now, by God, they're serious. They're no longer handing out the tinfoil hats, right?
Yeah, thankfully.
Thankfully, indeed. All right. So that's good. We got that going for us. NASA's consulting. Okay. Next up. Now we're going in the Wayback Machine. Sheldon, you ever see those cartoons where there's a guy, he's kind of wimpy, but he's trying to look tough. So he grabs his fist and blows on his thumb and all of a sudden his arms pump up and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of a
Popeye.
real thing,
Kind
apparently.
of.
Kind of Popeye. Popeye eats the spinach, and that does it. But you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking. Yeah. All right. So apparently, from the archives, that's a real phenomenon. phenomenon. Again, I'm laughing like I'm just the most broken human being in the world. But man blown up like a balloon in accident.
Oh God, that sounds horrible. Okay.
This is from 2011, May 26th. A New Zealand man suffered a rather unfortunate injury after falling onto a compressed air fitting. The truck driver fell backwards with some force into the fitting, which pierced his buttock. Oh my God.
Oh no.
And started forcing air in through the wound at 100 pounds per square inch. Unable to move, the man had no choice but to lie there as his body became increasingly inflated like a balloon. Luckily, his workmates nearby heard his screams and came to help him. He suffered moderate injuries but lived to see another day.
Oh my God, I'm surprised. Oh.
Wow.
Whoa.
A New Zealand truck driver said he blew up like a balloon when he fell onto the fitting of a compressed air hose that pierced his buttock and forced air into his body at 100 psi. Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely terrifying. I mean,
Like my brain automatically goes to what that would feel like, and I don't like it. Oh.
baby got back. Thank you.
Oh, don't. No.
For about 5 minutes, and then he sounded like the balloon going flat. I don't know. What do you do with that? It's just really unfortunate accident. Of course, I feel for the guy, but come on, that is funny stuff. It is kind of
I just
humorous.
set a world record for the biggest fart.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. It popped in my head.
Yeah, you might want to filter that stuff a little.
He
bit.
lived.
He lived. It's okay. We can laugh. It's okay. He's lived. He's normal size once again.
Sorry.
Oh, that's terrible. We're probably going to burn in hell, Sheldon. But in hell, I'll be in good company, I guess. So
It'll be warm.
yeah, it'll be warmer than here. Yeah. My luck, that's when it freeze over. But anyway, let's get to the next one from the archives. And this one is unexplained-mysteries.com. Man has chili pepper removed from his lung.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. How do you inhale a chili pepper? Well, we're going to find out from May 15th, 2011. A man in China who had been suffering from a cough for over a year had a chili pepper stuck in his lung. Oh, that poor guy. The man who had been suffering sleepless nights and a persistent cough was found to have had the chili pepper lodged in his lung the whole time. Turns out he'd choked on it a year ago, but hadn't realized the pepper was still inside. Wang Yuzhang from Longjiang County visited the local hospital to treat his year-long cough, but doctors soon found the cause to be something rather unusual. A chili. Oh my God. I guess maybe if it wasn't bitten, it wouldn't like burn, but it was obviously still irritating his lungs. If he was coughing for a whole year. He had that in there a whole year. Oh.
Wow. Our bodies are amazing, though, to be able to deal with that for a year.
Yeah, it didn't sound like he slept much for a year, though. He was just constantly coughing. Poor guy. I mean, what do you do for that? Take some cough medicine. Yeah. That's not going to do it. I'm sure he was trying everything. Yeah, that's rather unfortunate. But there you go. The weird stuff continues as we dive deeper into the bizarre archives of unexplained-mysteries.com. And this one is, and now this is weird. This is another one out of China. You be the judge. This sounds like kind of a little bit of a stretch here. But from China, April 25th, 2011, cat gives birth to dog. Cat owner Zhao Yun from China has claimed that her pregnant cat has given birth to a dog. The cat had given birth to 2 offspring, one of which was dead, and another that looked an awful lot like a dog. A local pet clinic president, however, was not convinced, emphasizing that such a birth is impossible and that is more likely the cat went out and brought home a puppy that it had found somewhere else. So it just adopted it. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
My kid's not going to make it. Here you go. Zhou Yun, the cat's owner, said she knew her furry friend was pregnant, so she wasn't surprised when she happened upon 2 kittens at the beginning of the month. Or were they? Maybe it wasn't a kitten. But anyway, it's just abducting puppies. Well, there's that. So, was it a puppy born from the cat, or did it just go grab one? Probably just grabbed one.
Yeah.
But weird story. Another one. Good thing for the medical field. If it wasn't for their expertise, we'd probably still be wondering about a lot of things. But medical prowess has given rise to our longevity and better health into this new version of our societies. So in this case, doctors definitely helped to explain what was going on, because in April 24th of 2011, doctor called to confirm headless man was dead.
Oh, for God's sake.
You couldn't tell? Is there a pulse? No, he's dead. All right. At what point does calling in a doctor to determine that someone is dead border on the ridiculous? When police dragged a body from a river in London last June, rules and regulations dictated that they call for a doctor to determine that the individual is actually dead, even though he was missing a rather important part of his body, his head. When police pulled a headless body from the river, you would not have thought it needed a doctor to confirm the person was dead. But there are rules and procedures to follow, and a medic was duly called in to declare that the man in question was actually life extinct. Yeah, I think some people, there's some things laymen are qualified to to diagnose. And if you're missing a head, chances are you're not going to make it. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Maggie's right in the chat. It's a legal thing. They probably, even though it was obvious to them, they're like, we have to do it. It's regulation. We have to.
Yeah, it's in the book. It's a policy. Yeah, but that is pretty ridiculous. I mean, you don't have a head. You probably can go ahead and make that judgment call. But I guess rules are rules. So there you have it. Need a doctor to confirm. Here's a weird one. Not your average story, but these are all been really weird, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
All right, let's get to this one, because this is another one from unexplained-mysteries.com. World of the Bizarre from April 23rd, 2011. Bullet lodged in man's brain for 23 years. Oof. A man suffered from epilepsy for 23 years was found to have a rusted bullet lodged in his brain. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wang Tianqing, I don't know how to say that, Tianqing, recalls an incident in 1988 in which he was knocked unconscious by a blow to the head. He was checked out at a hospital and sent home believing he'd simply been hit by a slingshot, but it turns out the injury had been a lot more serious than previously believed. A 2-centimeter rusted bullet embedded in the head of a farmer for 23 years has been removed at a local hospital. In 1988, Wang Tianqing, who lives in, oh my God, really? Zhangjiaquing City in northern China's Hebei province, was knocked unconscious on his way home by a blow to the head. Yeah, it was actually a bullet. Oh my God.
I've heard this story before. Yeah.
Really?
It is. I was always surprised.
Yeah.
How do you get shot in the head and then get released from the hospital and they didn't tell you were shot in the head? That is.
Yeah. Well, they just saved money on the x-rays. They're like, no, we think you're good. It's like, what about that hole in his head? No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a vent.
It's a good thing they didn't do an MRI.
Yeah. Just suck it right out. Ah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's instant epilepsy right there. Or, what is it? What is it called?
I know what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Lobotomy. Instant lobotomy.
Lobotomy, yep.
But if he lives, yeah. But that's absolutely scary. The man was walking around for 23 years with a bullet in his head. Wow, I wonder why he has all those headaches. It's like, really? Okay. That might explain it, Sherlock. All right. Yeah, I'd be suing that hospital.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's China, but I don't know what the rules are for that, but I think you'd have a pretty good case even in China. Here's the last one on the list tonight for the news, and this one's kind of a biblical kind of thing, actually. This is from April 8th, 2011. This stuff actually happens, I think, a lot more than people realize, but it does happen, and it's really strange. But worms rain from the sky over Scotland, again from 2011. An unusual Fortean event, pupils at a Scottish school encountered worms raining down from the sky. A PE lesson in Galashiels Academy was cut short when a series of thudding sounds heralded a downpour of worms from the heavens. It's thought that the event could have been caused by a freak weather at a nearby river, resulting in worms being lifted into the air and dumped a short distance away. What are the odds that there's that many worms that would just get sucked up? A Phi Ed class had run for cover as it started raining worms. Teacher David Crichton was leading a group of pupils playing football at Galashiels Academy when dozens of invertebrates began plummeting from the sky. The 22 second-year boys had to abandon their lesson. Yeah, that's probably a good reason to get out of there. It's like,
wow.
It's raining worms. Like,
how would that be possible?
I don't know, because worms are generally underground, right? I don't know if these are a special kind of worm that aren't, but I'm thinking of earthworms.
Special kind of worm that flies.
Yeah, I mean, are they airborne now? What's going on? I guess nothing would surprise me anymore, but that's definitely a weird one. So, raining worms. It's raining worms. Hallelujah. Sorry. I don't know. It's just strange. This is just the strange stuff, but
that's bizarre. Yeah,
it is, right? It's very bizarre. All right, so this is going to conclude our news festival for the night. I hope you guys learned something new and left here with more knowledge than you came, and you're leaving a more worldly person. So
Maggie says, what a heartwarming story.
She gets a rim shot. All right.
Well done.
Let's get back to the rest of the show. All right, those of you on YouTube, stick around. We're going to get into that trailer now. You can see all the cool stuff coming up. Don't go away. For those of you that are going to break, we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, for those of you here, I've just disconnected the network and we're going to get into this. This is a new trailer from the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization that is releasing its part 3 of the Walking with the Wild Man series December 1st. And you can find it on Amazon Prime. So let's check it out. Without further ado, here we go. The biggest Bigfoot documentary film is now available on Amazon. Bigfoot. Only one name of hundreds the world over. Its echoes can be found in histories and legends around the globe. Those echoes carry still, even until today. The stories persist of large bipedal hairy men that still walk among the shadows of our world, encountered by chance, largely by those who are unprepared. This is the journey of the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization to find and document the European Bigfoot. There you go, folks. Let me reconnect to the network. That is the brand new trailer. So hopefully you guys will check it out on December 1st. That is my voice. I narrated the third entire documentary, as well as their second one, which has already been out for a couple of years now. But this is their third one, and so hopefully you guys will check it out. I hope you guys enjoyed that sneak peek at the trailer that was just released today. So I wanted to bring it to you guys, and thank you so much for all the kind words you guys have given me over on Facebook and such about it. It's kind of an intimidating thing, to be honest with you, because I don't want to be the weak link. These guys work really hard. They did some amazing cinematography and filming, and Chris did some brilliant editing, putting that trailer together. And I worked really, really hard. I had to write all my own narration and then record it and stuff. But I really hoped to represent it well, because, I was honored to be included and to be a part of it once again. And so if you guys can, check it out when it gets released. That would be a big thrill to know you guys were going to check it out. So thank you all for that. I don't know what kind of lag we got on YouTube, but I'm still seeing on my feed from the dashboard the trailer.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm not.
Yep. Oh, thank you, you, Lily Pond. I appreciate that.
It's
I hope
amazing
so.
what you've done with that.
Oh, well, thanks. But honestly, it's really easy to sound good when it's such a well done job on their end, because if they didn't shoot it well, if they didn't edit it well, it wouldn't matter what I did. It would just be a log. But they really put together an incredible production, and so it was just an honor to be a part of it. And so I'd love if you guys would support that, if you can. Check it out on Amazon Prime starting December 1st, just around the corner. God, time is flying. So
I know.
You guys got to see it first, both on Facebook and now here. So hopefully spread the word. Spread the word. Let people know. All right, so enough of that. But thanks to the IBRO guys and Chris and Jim and Ron. You guys are awesome. Thank you for making me a part of it. So you just have a voice. You sound real good. Oh, thank you, Ruthie. Sometimes I sound good. Sometimes I sound like a 3-day-old cheese or something. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but it's just
You're
something.
holy?
No, not holy, but it's just kind of my voice gets kind of grimy sometimes. So I think it does. It's character, right?
Yeah, builds character.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I really am blown away by the amount of kindness people sent in messages, and so many people shared the trailer to their feeds and stuff. So that was really cool. But anyway, enough of that. Oh, thank you. Good. Thank you, Isaac. I hope you really like it. And all right. Happy being number 7 Paranormal Radio. Mere nuisance. Huh. I don't know what that means for sure, but
You're number 7.
Oh, yeah. On the charts. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. A special thanks to all you that also listen to the podcast as well, because in the iTunes charts for natural sciences, which is the category that the Paranormal Portal is in, also the category Sasquatch Chronicles and the Confessionals and several other paranormal productions are in, we hit number 7. So we're in the top 10 currently in the natural sciences on Apple iTunes charts. So that was a really cool thing as well. So thank you for all the support and love from all of these things that I've been involved with. And there's more things coming in the near future that I'm not going to let you know about quite yet. But suffice it to say that, there's a lot of things going on. And I'm just keep trying to continue to bring you guys the best that I can of so many things. So thank you. You're number 1 with us. Aw, thank you, Wonder Woman. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. You guys are the greatest. I mean, honest to God, none of this would make a difference if it wasn't for all of you. That love and support and continue to, help to support my dream. So thank you for that. And that includes those of you that don't chat and just just kick back and watch. I mean, that means everything. So thank you for all the love you guys continue to give me and to give the shows, and to Sheldon and Don as well. You guys are all a part of the team, so including all of you. So thank you so much. All right, so your hard work is paying off. Thanks, Ruger. I appreciate it, brother. I hope so. I hope so. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Second time today I've used that line.
Yeah, true.
but it's never quits being funny. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Hug to you. Let's go to our next part of the show. And this is a newer segment that we've been doing here for several weeks now. It's been a lot of fun to dig into people's thoughts and ideas. And what this is we have a Discord community. And Discord, of course, is kind of like the YouTube chat that so many of you participate in. And it's real easy to continue to have those conversations by just joining the Discord. And a lot of the people that you're talking with here are over there talking. So it kind of continues the conversation even when there isn't a live show going on. So Sheldon put the link in the chat, and you can go over and join that way, as well as, I guess, let me see. Can I do this? I want to copy your link. Can I copy the link? Yes, copy link address. Absolutely. I'm going to put it over in TFR for BAM and Helpful Creation, and Gemini's over there. So, did it work? No, it didn't work. I'm pasting. Geez, what the hell is that? Is that it?
What?
No, it's a YouTube redirect.
Oh.
I'll grab another link. But anyway, this is the Discord question of the week, is a category we've had in our Discord chat in order to ask questions of all of you Discord chatters, what you think of certain supernatural, paranormal, Fortean topics. And if you have a question you want to ask, just let Sheldon or I know, or Don as well, and we can post it in the next question. But generally, we come up with the questions, and you guys come up with what you think. And there's no wrong answers. But this segment of the show is meant to kind of tie in our Discord community, Discord community into the live shows as well. So let's get to that. All right, so this is the questions of the week, and we are on the last question of this this live show cycle. And let me pull up Discord here, if I can find it. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? There it is. There it is. Okay. Now, Lars. All right, so we've got questions of the week here, and there's a few. Oh, I got you. Okay, so let's put it up on screen. Sheldon, you got it up, right?
I'm ready.
Okay, Sheldon's ready, so let's get to this. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, so for today's question, we have Dogman is a cryptid whose legend continues to grow. However, they are sometimes described as completely animalistic and sometimes seeming to show profound intelligence. Do you believe Dogman is some form of mindless feral beast? Or do you believe their intelligence is similar to our own? Or do you believe there's a spectrum of intelligence in their race? Very good question, I thought, Dad. Well done.
Thank you.
First responder within, they say spectrum. I think just like humans, intelligence is all relative to the individual's environment, education, exposure, and genetics.
Good point. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that was a response to a different question. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Paradox Fossil says, I was taking pics of a fossil once, and the reflection of the glass was a silhouette of Anubis pointing her finger at me, and another finger pointing out in the area of a fossil 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Huh. Interesting. Wow.
That is wild. Yeah.
Wow. Rachel says, I think Dogman intelligence is on a spectrum. I think I've heard witnesses say that for all their vicious appearance and actions, there seems to be an active assessment of how they interact with the witness. Like, if the witness has a weapon, rifle, or gun, They seem to know what those are. Whether the dogmen know this from personal experience or communication with other dogmen is an interesting question, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Wow. Yeah. Fourth caller says they seem to be intelligent based on the many stories I've heard. They seem to act with restraint at times just to terrify a person. Witnesses will claim to see knowing and intelligence in their eyes. I've heard stories of them jiggling doorknobs or even unscrewing porch lights. Take that with a grain of salt. Many stories paint a picture of intelligence rather than a mindless beast.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, and I agree. Lars says that sounds like fun. The whole jiggling of doorknobs, lovely. Yeah, I agree. That's very interesting. I now for me, I would say that I think they. I mean, that's true because it is relative. So how would you say they're intelligent? Are they comparable to us? Can they invent? I don't know. Do they have the capabilities about that? I don't know. But I think that they are intelligent and can reason is what I would say. And more than a mindless beast, absolutely. That they have strategy and can think. Now, where do you lean, Dad?
I guess I personally kind of lean that they're probably in the same ballpark as Bigfoot in a lot of ways, but maybe not quite as articulate. They seem to there's so much of a spectrum of reports. They seem to thrive on intimidating people, which it seems like that would denote intelligence, to at least some degree. Kind of like, almost like, look, watch this, and then they freak people out, and then they just kind of go away, and people are left trembling and shocked, and dealing with this for years. And it does almost seem sometimes diabolical, but other times they seem really benign. Like, they don't seem to, I guess of the two, they seem intelligent, but it's more of a kind of a bully intelligence. Like, they know what they're doing, but they get a joy or a glee from doing it. Like, to intimidate people to the point of them just falling apart seems to be kind of their way of counting coup, if you will. The whole idea of, challenging each other to see what they can do to the people, that kind of thing. Maybe it's has more to do with the juveniles rather than the more real adult ones. But here's the problem, and it's really hard to get a real feel for what these things are, because the reports are much fewer and farther between of Dogman versus Bigfoot reports. Like, there seems to be so many more encounters with Bigfoot type beings. And granted, some of it might be just misrepresenting each of them. Maybe some of the reports of Bigfoot are actually Dogman, and some of the reports of Dogman are actually Bigfoot. We just don't know for sure, because people are in such a state of fear when they see them that, I mean, it could become whatever you're most afraid of. And I don't mean literally, and maybe it is literally. If it's more spiritual in nature, as some people suggest, then maybe they can take a form, and just do that. But if they are a purely physical being, then perhaps it's not real easy to identify one from the other based on, them being in the thick cover of woodlands, and only showing little pieces of themselves. So,
right,
it's hard to say.
Ghost Mega has a good question. Do they have a community like Bigfoot, like a pack?
I don't know. It doesn't, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't seem as if they're as community based as a Bigfoot. There are stories of that type. There are stories out there of Bigfoot and Dogman having distinct territories, and the Dogmen exist on one territory and the Bigfoot exist on another, and never the two shall meet. Like, they have some kind of agreement that their boundaries are very set. And so it does sound like in some cases there are groups of them together, and whether they're family groups or are they more of a pack kind of thing, it's hard to say. But is it the same as Bigfoot? Doesn't sound like it. It sounds like Bigfoot are more distinctly family groups to me. And
Yeah.
that's just me looking at reports through the years. It seems like the family group in a Bigfoot community is really the ties that bind, but maybe a Dogman group is based more on strength and the ability to protect the mass, that, they group together more in just of a pack. If and maybe they reject some and allow some, who knows. But it is a fascinating phenomena, but it's again, there's less stories to go on. There's less witness reports. Now, I also don't listen to a lot of Dogman shows just because I don't have the time. As much as I'd love to, I don't have the time to sit and listen to all of the different Dogman shows and really get a feel for what's going on there. But there's plenty of reports of them coming in packs. Dark Waters, his account seems to be that several of them were coming at the same time through a forest towards him. And it's just absolutely terrifying kind of endeavor. But yeah, it's hard to know. Gemini says, sound is way off at TFR, was good. Now it sounds like a tornado passing. Okay, let me disconnect TFR and see if I can reconnect that and help that situation. Hold your horses. Well, that's weird. Did it disconnect? It was connected. Let's do it again.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's see. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We might have just lost the network by disconnecting. I don't know if TFR can hear us now or not. Is that better? If you can let me know, Gemini or Bam or Jake, let me know if the TFR sound is better now. Because I don't know. Not sure. So we'll see what they say. But again, there's also plenty of reports that would seem to suggest that Dogman can be solo as well. No, it's not better?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should just kill the connection to TFR then. I don't know what's happened. Still sounds like, yeah. Okay. Badness. Jake says, still sounds like badness. Okay, well, I tell you what, rather than have a poor sounding show on TFR, we'll just disconnect it. And we'll just go with the YouTube show at this point. Because it's hard to balance those two. Maybe when I disconnected it just really threw a monkey wrench in it, but I don't know. Had to show that trailer. Had to do it. So that's my thoughts on Dogman. And again, I know way more about Bigfoot, I think, and way more about ghosts and even UFOs than I do about Dogman. Dogman is one of those things that I acknowledge is probably out there, but I don't really understand much about it. It's just one of those cans of worms, unlistenable. Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah.
I killed the feed to the show. Hope you'll join us on YouTube. My apologies. Yeah, Gemini says it sounds good on YouTube, but not on TFR. So,
No.
I do apologize that disconnecting it might have really threw a wrench in it, but used to be able to do that. Maybe now the station's dynamics have changed or something. But thank you to everybody that joined into the discussion about the questions of the week. I do appreciate it. And thank you. And again, please get involved in the Discord community. Please join up. Please, become a part of those discussions. Because here's the thing. Nobody knows this stuff for sure. We've got a lot of ideas, and your ideas are just as valid as mine. And oftentimes you guys have caused me to see things from a whole different angle than I would have ever on my own. So
True.
It's the beauty of a group of discussion going on, that we share ideas and grow in possible understanding, or at least viewpoints, as we have these discussions. So thank you everybody for participating. And again, join the Discord community and get involved. There'll always be questions of the week before a live show, unless we have a guest on the show. Then, there'll be no question of the week on those days, but those will be announced ahead of time. So, all right. let's get on with the rest of this. Okay, that was the question of the week. Awesome. I just love it when you guys participate. When you're part of the vision. That's awesome. All right, let me just log out of TFR and close that down. There's no reason to keep that open. That's one less feed that I have to support. If it works. So click log out and it's just like sitting there. There it goes. Okay, so now that's done. Okay, so we got a lot more show coming up here. As always, we're going to get into some ghostly stuff now, I guess, because we got through that. I have to keep watching the time, so it's about 7:51. We don't have to do breaks now, so that frees us up to just have fun. Right, Sheldon?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's get to the next one here, and this is a Factinate article we've been working through since last show a little bit. These are Factinate.com experience especially unforgettably creepy moments is the name of the article. And let's see who is this by again? I forgot. It's by AV Land. It says unforgettably creepy moments is the name of this article, and we're on number 9. So let's get to that. And this is the Factinate article. And there's been some good ones here. 4, where are we? 7, 8, 9. There we go. All right. So Lullabies in the Night is the next one on this list. So again, Factinate is a site that does a lot of Reddit scraping and looking for, stories, and they take little excerpts from Reddit threads dealing with the subject matter. And this has been a pretty good one, but it says Lullabies in the Night. This happened during my senior year of college, Christmas break, 2006. I worked for a professor that asked me to house dog sit for him while he was out of town to see if the bowl game that we were in. Well, he was gone for 3 days and had a huge piece of land in the middle of nowhere. Well, I invited my girlfriend at the time. He had horses and fishing and a gator to ride on, so one of those all-terrain vehicles. So the first 2 nights went down without incident. But the last night, his little floofy dog was having a fit. She keeps barking at the back door, and at first we ignore it, but decide to lock the dog inside in case of a coyote or something. After a while, we start to get a little creeped out. I keep saying it's probably an animal and we'll be fine. My girlfriend, not too bright, wants to go to investigate to see what's outside. She goes outside and says she saw something small and gray, probably a coyote, and it ran off. So just an animal, no worries. But by this time, we're pretty spooked. The dog now starts barking at the window on the other side of the house, and we're still trying to ignore it, but a little worried. We decide to get into bed, awkward silence, and then I hear it. It sounds like a young girl singing a soft, eerie lullaby. I don't say anything, hoping that my mind is playing tricks on me. My girlfriend says, "Let's get the heck out of here." And I say, "Why?" She said, "You didn't hear that little girl singing?" "Okay, let's get out." And we got out. I even called someone to talk to me while I walked out to the car. The next morning, went to clean up the house and such. The most scared I've ever been. Ever. Yeah, generally you don't want little girls singing lullabies at like midnight or after. That's a little creepy.
That's not too bad, though.
Especially if you don't have little girls.
Well, yeah.
That's when it becomes absolutely creepy. It's like, there's a meme going on. It's like, oh, baby's laughter is so cute and beautiful unless it's 3 a.m. and you don't have a baby.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's like, that's a whole different take. So, yeah, you kind of got to leave. Didn't want you there, I don't think. What?
It's not the worst thing ever. Lullaby. It was just singing you to sleep,
Yeah, that's what it wanted. That's exactly what it wanted. Just to help you sleep. then let's try silence. That would be working better. Number 10, even creeps want a +1. This one isn't paranormal, but some of these are still really creepy. Mm-hmm. I was living in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a short time, and the house I stayed in was on the outskirts of the main city, set way back on a dirt road in a farming area. The house is over 200 years old, and I would routinely freak myself out because of the age, location, and my only other roommates were 2 cats. Anyway, during one of the coldest nights in January, -15 Fahrenheit, boy, does that bring back nightmares.
Ooh.
I heard someone frantically ringing my doorbell at 2:30 or 3 a.m. I slowly approached the door to get a glimpse of my unexpected company before they realized I could see them. Suddenly, I heard them thump across the wooden wraparound deck leading to the front door and make their way to the big glass side door. Uh-oh. I heard a moan and groan, and then someone jiggled the doorknob. By this time, I'm calling 911 and cowering in my room with my pistol drawn. During the 25 minutes it took for the authorities to make their way up there to investigate, I could hear and see the shadows of people outside each window, trying each one to see if it slid open. When the officers arrived, they walked around the house and made a disturbing discovery. They only identified one set of footprints in the snow and one set of drag marks. They could identify where and when the person being dragged was seated down in the snow at various entry points while the other guy was checking for a way in. I moved shortly after, not because of the attempted entry, but because Fort Wayne, Indiana is a terrible place to live. Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if that's paranormal, but that's a scary encounter.
It's horrible. Horrible.
Jeez.
Why are they dragging someone around? That's not a good thing. Ugh. Number 11, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Like most couples, my husband and I have designated sides of the bed. I sleep on the right side and he on the left. My comfortable sleep position is laying on my left side and facing the window away from him. Sounds like love. He alternates between facing the bathroom door or me. One night a few weeks back, I'm fighting my sleep. I'm lying on my left side per the norm, but I just can't get comfortable. My neck is sort of sore from laying on my left, so I turn over and face my husband. When I turn over, I am not only faced with my husband's back, but with a large shadow standing over him. Immediately, the shadow stretches to me and somehow communicates for me to turn over. I remember thinking its face was contorted, somehow expressing malice, but I can't for the life of me remember what it looked like. I didn't hear a voice, but the communication was urgent and angry, like it wanted to hurt me. Without thinking, I turn back around and quickly fall asleep. Screw that guy. I'm going to bed. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not even sure if I was dreaming. The next morning, my husband and I wake up around the same time and go about our usual routine. I don't say anything because my husband doesn't like to talk about supernatural stuff or the like, which I felt it was. However, this morning is strange and he seems to be uncomfortable. After a lot of prodding, he finally admits he had an awful nightmare. He dreamt a demon was trying to make him do things while he was sleeping. Really evil stuff. Wouldn't elaborate. And I woke up during this and the demon went to attack me. I didn't tell my husband that I remember the same thing, only wasn't sure if I was asleep. Yikes.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty horrible.
Yeah, Peyton says sounds like sleep paralysis, kind of.
Yeah, it does. That's really creepy stuff.
Ooh, it's terrifying.
Yeah, anytime anything dark is involved like that and it's full of malice and hate, and it's just like, it's just so contrary.
Mm-hmm.
They got to pick up their A game and start saging and cleansing. Definitely got to tune that environment a little differently.
Oh, yeah.
Number 12, unwanted company. My family moved into this house when I was 8, and it was bigger than any house we had before and had a massive unfinished basement. That basement had windows that lined 3 of the walls, so it wasn't the dark basement that most people think of. But for some reason, I was still terrified of being down there at night. Every night I would go upstairs, I'd sprint upstairs because I felt like something was following me up. For 11 years that went on, and my family acted like it was just my imagination. For the last few years, my dad had moved his office down there since he worked from home, and he was bent on having a guest bedroom in our house. Now, one thing about my dad is he never really stops working. When everyone else is getting off work early on Fridays, he always kept working until he was done. That meant he would be down in the basement way after it got dark. Then, about a year ago, I was back home from college for the summer. My dad got rid of the guest room after 10 years and moved his office in there. I felt the same when I went down there, but it kept getting worse. I started noticing that my dog would never go down there with me, even though he used to love being down there since there was space for him to run around. He would stand at the top of the stairs unless I forced him down there. Then once he was down there, if I took my eye off of him, he would sprint upstairs. Hey, you got to trust your pets. It started getting to the point where I was overcome with fear even walking down there during the day, and I just started avoiding it completely. My dad asked me why I wouldn't go down there, and I told him that I couldn't explain it, and I was just scared. That's when he told me the truth about why he moved his office. Whenever he was down there after dark, he couldn't bring himself to look away from his computer screen because he always felt like something was behind him, and that he would sprint upstairs after he turned off his computer, and he would see shadows and stuff sometimes on his way up. Also, he has a friend that does psychic medium stuff, and she told him that while she was visiting, she felt something really evil whenever she passed the basement door, and that she was worried it would try to hurt us. He also told me that when we first moved in there, I would regularly tell them I saw people in the house, but I'd forgotten about that. My dad is the most rational person I know, and even he was scared. He started talking about getting the house cleansed, and over the course of the next 2 months, that feeling of fear and being watched was no longer only in the basement. It was everywhere. Oof.
Jeez.
It got to the point where even when I was outside, I was scared to look into the house because it felt like something was there. We ended up getting the house cleansed and all went back to normal, but for a couple of months, I was constantly overcome with fear. My dad and I were the only ones that felt it, and my dog too, I guess, but I can't exactly ask him about it. That was by the Tinosaur. the Tinosaur. Yeah. So that's really creepy. Something about basements too with the paranormal and with spirits. And I asked an exorcist, Jeffrey Seelman, one time when he was on, I was like, what is it with basements? Why is it always the basement? And he said, because some dark spirits just want to be left alone. They want to be in their isolation. They want to be away from people. And the best way to do that is to go into basements because most people don't go into their basements much. And so that's usually the first location that things get heavy and dark and oppressive. And maybe, I don't know if this was a house they built or if it was just something they moved into, but maybe they woke something up, you know? That would make sense with even the experiences we had in the house that we lived in with like the footsteps upstairs, that type of thing. Do you remember hearing footsteps up there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was really creepy because it was all unfinished.
Yeah.
It was all stripped down and torn apart upstairs. There was nothing up there, no one up there, and it'd be 2 a.m. We'd hear footsteps walking across the floor upstairs. I always figured it was like grandpa or grandma, and I never felt really, really concerned about it, but it was weird. It was still very strange. Something about those footsteps just feels a little more intimidating because whatever it is making itself known. It knows you can hear, and it knows that you're listening. I mean, it's really strategic, I think. Now, there is residual things where they just pop off every once in a while and pace around, And that's probably a phenomenon as well. And that's not really diabolical. It's just a recording of sorts, a psychic or energetic recording. But the ones where, like, you get woken out of a sleep, that was what happened to me a few times. It'd be like 2 a.m. I get woken up. I'd lay in bed going, what's going on? Why am I awake? And then all of a sudden the footsteps would be happening right over my head in the, on the floor above. It's like, oh, well, nobody should be up there then. And this house is out in the sticks a bit. It's not like it's in an area, and it was just the only living space was the downstairs where we were. There was nothing finished upstairs. So very unusual, very weird stuff, but all the same, it's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy stuff.
The footsteps are creepy, yeah, for sure. Number 13, Life Imitates Art. And this is years ago, around Halloween, my family had gathered to watch scary movies. Good call.
Oh, boy.
My mom loved these shows, and my dad didn't care much for them, so he'd get up every few minutes and to work on something or another. And we'd started watching Hitchcock's The Birds, and it was getting late, probably close to midnight. It was getting cold, not just late October chill of the foothills we lived in, but the house was getting cold. At first, my mom just asked my dad to turn up the thermostat, but after a couple of minutes of the furnace running and the house not warming up, he realized he'd need to go check the furnace. He grabbed the lighter and headed downstairs. Here we go with downstairs again. A minute later, we hear him shout for us. "You'll have to come see this," he says, with something that sounds part excitement, part nervousness in his voice. We get down there to see him shining a flashlight into the furnace. Peering in, first we just noticed the pilot light was indeed out. And then we saw the reason. A lifeless bird. Something about the size of the palm of my hand, maybe a sparrow, had flown into the furnace from outside and put the flame out. Oh. That's, if it's just one bird, that happens.
Yeah.
I remember in my old house that I used to own, an old Victorian home, they had the coal burning fireplaces. It really wasn't a log kind of fireplace, but they were, they're smaller with the ceramic tiles surrounding it. And it was basically for burning lumps of coal. And one day I was in the house and I hear, I'm like, where the hell's that coming from? So I'm looking all around and I can't figure it out. And then I see there's dust coming from the fireplace. So I pop open the flue and a pigeon was in there. A pigeon had somehow gotten all the way down the chimney and into the flue there. So I finally got him out and got him outside, but it was really weird. I was like, oh, that's unusual. But it happens that birds happen into those places. Maybe because they're warmer, or something. I don't know. I don't remember what time of year it was, but yeah, it was a full pigeon. It was a big bird. It actually frightened me when I opened it up and the big wing flapped out. I was like, ah. But it startled me for sure.
Yeah.
That was by all my usernames are DEA. Oh,
Aradia? What?
All my usernames are
DEA.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know what that means. But number 14 is 5 of the longest seconds. Because 5 seconds can be long sometimes, I guess. In 1993, our family lived in a small town called Ritzville, Washington. I was 5 years old at the time. What I experienced has left me thinking about it every single night for the past 22 years. I shared a room and bunk bed with my little brother. The room had a small, fairly deep closet a few feet from the foot of the bunk bed. Located in the wall was a small vent that at night, when the living room light was on, would shine through, giving my room a slight ambient glow. Well, one night I had to go to the bathroom, and when I sat up and was about to take the covers off, I noticed that the floor of the bunk bed was this tall, black figure with a giant oval head that spanned the width of the bunk bed staring at me. Oh, that's really creepy. It's got like a balloon head.
Oh,
it had 2 small yellow eyes that were far apart And I noticed this thing stood around 6 feet tall. Its skin was charcoal and lumpy. I stared at it for a good 5 seconds before I threw the covers over my head. 5 seconds of this monster being ingrained into my head, I could feel the evil surrounding it. I was up for a while before I fell asleep again, so I have no idea how long it was there. In the morning, the first thing I noticed was the closet door. I make it a habit to close the closet doors every night, but it was wide open. My mom was the first to know about it, and you know how most parents kind of wave their kids' experience off as a bad dream? Well, she didn't. She knew I saw something because she'd seen things too. I had nightmares for weeks after seeing it. In my dreams, this being picked me up and started torturing me. I haven't seen it since, and I never want to see it again. That was by Blue_13. Wow. Poor kids, man.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's always the interesting with some of these paranormal stories is not just when one person's experiencing something like a child, whatever, but when multiple people in a household are experiencing something. That's always very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is. It truly is. Number 15, meet George. I worked the graveyard shift in a hospital kitchen about 5 years ago. Before the kitchen was renovated a few years prior, our dish room used to be part of the morgue.
Oh, nice. Okay.
While I was training, I frequently would feel like someone was watching me, especially when I crossed into that part of the hallway. Every time I went into the dish room, something would be moved, turned over, or missing. Assuming it was my coworker, I didn't think anything about it. About a week later, my coworker leaves, and I'm left on my own. Every night, I would hear carts being moved around, dishes being put away, and silverware rattling. If I would leave for a minute, I'd come back, and my radio would be switched to a different station. It got to the point where I was terrified to come to work every night. I called my old coworker and told her what was going on, and she very calmly said, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about George." Apparently, George was a nurse/medical examiner who had a stroke while at work. He was in his 50s. I was told from then on everything actually went quite well. I introduced myself to George and asked him to please keep it down, and as long as I said hi to him as soon as I started work, he didn't seem to want to bother me anymore. It took us a little while to find a radio station we could agree on, but we worked harmoniously after that. When I left the job a year later, I made sure that I told the girl that replaced me. That was by a cookie baker. Again, I think it's acknowledgement. That's the big thing. Acknowledging sometimes that these spirits are there. Hey, how you doing? I think that's very powerful because I imagine it would be maddening to just be there and nobody ever acknowledges you, talks to you, even knows you're there. It's got to be, kind of the thing that would just break you mentally. And so by acknowledging it and it or him, giving him an identity and giving him respect can go a long way, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe so anyway. That was by a cookie baker. Number 16, mythical monster. I used to live in a bad part of town, but the community was very close and we all played soccer together inside the apartment complex. Nobody really cared since we never broke a window, and they would usually come out and chat with each other while they watched us play. Anyway, we were all tired and decided to take a break, and I went to lean against a tree. From where I was sitting, if I looked to the left and the right, there were two dark alleys that led to the back area of the apartments. Out of the corner of my eye, two shiny eyes caught my attention. I just stared for what seemed like ages, and I got the sensation that I was about to be jumped. I tried to tell people something was there, but the words wouldn't come out. And there's also the fear of looking stupid in front of everyone. Then, whatever that thing was, it came out fast, and it ran from one alley to the next. There were at least 20 people there, and everyone saw it. You could hear all the girls screaming and the panic in everyone. I had no reaction. I just stood there, along with a couple more people, and we were the closest to this creature. It did not attack us, though. It just ran by and disappeared into the dark alley. I honestly thought it was going to kill me, as it was huge. I'd say maybe 7 or 8 feet tall. After that, we all just stayed home and tried to figure out what happened that night. But being in a Mexican neighborhood, all the families believe in this stuff and said it was the chupacabra, and the fear eventually faded. The scary thing is, I Googled chupacabra years later, and some pictures look very similar to what we saw that day. A tall black figure with bony body of a starving dog that ran like a raptor, but more upright, as it had long hands, but not to proportion with the rest of its huge body. Huh. Well, that's not good. There's a mangy coyote picture.
Oh.
I don't know how prevalent mange is, but that's generally what people see, and they call it a chupacabra, but I don't believe it is. Number 17, Gut Feeling. Did I say who that was by? That was by Axis War. Okay. Gut Feeling is number 17. One night, I just couldn't sleep. Every time I laid down to sleep, I got this overwhelming feeling and almost thought I heard a voice urging me to get up. So I got a book and stayed up just listening to the thunderstorm while feeling a bit silly. 4 hours later, at about 2 a.m., I felt like something was telling me to go get a glass of water. This is really weird, but as long as I was already staying up until 2 a.m. because of a feeling, I might as well get a glass of water. It may have ended up saving my life. As I walk down the stairs, I hear the sound coming from the office. A flip of the light switch reveals it's the first couple of drops of a leak in the roof that had just been redone the week before. So I was really mad. Forgetting about getting a drink, I grabbed a bucket and was walking back into the room when plink plink of the leak changes. Suddenly, it's like a hose is pouring straight into the middle of the room. I threw the bucket underneath as I'm running back with trash bags to cover up the computers, and it changes again. There are now sparks shooting off of the floor, and this stream of water looks like a ribbon of glowing plasma twisting and branching through the air. I stared in shock for a moment before dropping the plastic to hit the light switch and sprinted to the circuit breaker. The rest of the night was waking up my family, climbing into the attic to make sure nothing was on fire. Scorch marks, yes. Flames or coals, no. Moving electronics out of the office and emptying buckets. It turned out that the storm had loosened and finally tore free a piece of flashing. The angle of the roof had then funneled all that water straight into the heater and electrical wiring for that section of the house. Because I was just in the right place at just the right time, I was able to protect the floor from the electrified water, contain it with the buckets, wasn't standing in it after coming down the stairs, shut off the power before the scorched wood ignited, and covered the computers with plastic before they got wet, set up buckets and plastic, and clean up the water before the wood floors were damaged. In the end, because of that urging to stay up and walk past the office door, all the night costs us was a coat of paint for the ceiling. The roofing crew came back and fixed the roof at no cost because it was only a week old and everything was okay. It still made my skin crawl to look at the scorched wood inside of the attic and on the ceiling and to think about how my parents and sister and even dogs slept through it until I shook them awake. Well, technically, I tripped over the dog while walking, waking my parents, but close enough. That was by MNH1. Wow. I wonder if that's an actual picture.
Oh.
Huh.
Could be.
Wow. Well, good save.
Yeah.
Yikes. Creepy, creepy stuff, I tell you. Always creepy stuff. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll read one more and then we'll get to some more stuff here. We'll get to some cryptids. Okay. Number 18, Falling from the Sky. My dad used to visit some clients who lived in a creepy, isolated farmhouse. More people claim to have seen ghosts and spirits around the farm since the 1850s. And the owners of the house joke about it frequently. On one visit to his clients, they sat in an empty room around a desk. Now, this room was literally empty apart from the desk. No bookshelves, no furniture. They were discussing the area when my dad brings up the ghost spotted on the farm, and the client tells him about a middle-aged man who passed on here 60 years ago. 10 to 20 minutes go on, and they go into more business-related stuff, and literally out of nowhere drops an obituary, a freshly cut obituary, and my dad catches it out of the air and inspects it. It belonged to that very man they were discussing earlier. And to clarify, there was nothing in the room for it to fall from. Yikes.
Wow.
That's a sign, right?
That's definitely a sign.
Oops, forgot to turn that off. Forgot to turn that off, didn't I? It's not time for questions of the week. We already did
Whoops.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Buttons, lots of buttons. There's all kinds of things going on here behind the scenes. Sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. It's okay, though. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
That way you know this is live and unrehearsed. So we're going to get to some Bigfoot and reports and other cryptids, but we had alluded to getting to something from Phantoms and Monsters last night. I think we'll get to it tonight. There's 2 stories from there and 1 more from Sasquatch Chronicles from today. So I'm going to read you those as we dive into the cryptid corner, folks. Look out for the cryptids. All right, so first up, we're going to visit the Sasquatch Chronicles blog. And this is one from November 19th, Sasquatch Chronicles blog. Again, everyone knows Sasquatch Chronicles, but the blog is also off the hook. You can head over there and find all kinds of letters listeners have written in, some of which will become shows and some of them won't, but they're there for you to check out and read, and as well as links to other shows. Sometimes the Paranormal Portal's even posted there. Gotta love it. Thanks, Wes. But let's get to this. This is from 19th of November. Strange encounter, but I know what I saw. A listener writes, I stumbled across your show by accident 18 months ago. Listened to a couple of podcasts while driving from Baker, Oregon to my home in Halsey, Oregon. I then promptly forgot about it. Fast forward to about 9 months ago when I was looking for something interesting to listen to and found your podcast. It was close to about the same time, like the end of February when something interesting happened. I went to take my dog out for one last bathroom break before bed. It was after 9 p.m. Dark and damp that evening, typical, Willamette Valley. And we live at the edge of a town, and there's a large open field to the west of our home for a clear view across the fields and more fields beyond that road. I took my dog Ella Girl out to the front yard to pee. It's too dark in the backyard at night, and as we walked a few steps into the front yard, something came over me. A feeling of something strange, maybe of being watched. My back was to the house. I thought maybe my sons were watching me from inside the house. Half the family was in bed already, but my teen sons were still up. As I turned to my right, my eyes caught the west corner of the house. There appeared to be a large, tall, arborvitae shaped like a human at the corner of the house. It reached the top of the eaves of our 2-story home. As I'm turning, my brain starts humming. There is no arborvitae at that corner of the house. What is that? It's large. Got to be close to 10 feet tall. What shape was that? What the heck is that? Instant freezing fear filled me. However, as soon as I froze, I heard in my head, "You are safe. I won't harm you." I remained frozen with my dog on her leash, seeming to be moving slower, yet unbothered. After probably 30 seconds, that seemed to be a much longer, I turned back towards the west corner of the house. Yep, nothing there now. I never heard any movement, rustling, etc. I went back into the house and just stood in my kitchen counter for a half hour, still and processing my thoughts and what had just happened. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw and heard in my head. My dog was largely unbothered. We live in an area that would just seem not likely to have any sort of paranormal creatures due to how open the fields are. This is an agricultural farming area. So the big thing is, again, and this comes up all the time, the feeling people get, like, I knew something was watching me. And that is, I'm pretty confident that that's a sixth sense that we people just have, that most everybody has, that you can just feel when something's not right, when somebody's watching. And I think it's just maybe some leftover of our genetic past when we were just definitely on the menu and you could tell when something was watching you. Maybe it's a survival mechanism that develops some weird trigger that hasn't been explained yet. But that comes up all the time, people, and it comes up in the ghost stories, comes up in the cryptid stories. It comes up in strange events, the feeling that something shifts, something changed. And I think that's really powerful because it speaks to the fact that we do have these abilities. We just do. Although, maybe most of us aren't really tuned into it, but we're connected somehow, and even to these other things that really mystify us and are curious. What do you think of that, Sheldon?
Well, it's like it's like Diane just said in the chat. Mm-hmm. It's that intuition. I mean, that could be directly linked to that very thing that we all have, that intuition, that those gut feelings that we get.
Yeah.
So I think that they're connected. And I mean, in a sense, being able to get those feelings like being watched and then, oh, look, you are being watched by something, in a sense is kind of, how would you say, kind of supernatural in a sense either, because you're not going by any information. You're going by kind of like an energy, a knowing that you shouldn't be able to know. And it's very interesting that even just that idea that we can know these things.
Sure. And maybe it's part to do with the person's mindset at the time. If they're in really kind of an open frame of mind, like their mind isn't overly encumbered with things from their day or whatever. And they're just, I got to let the dog out. Okay. Let the dog out. The dog pees. You just kind of stand there and you're looking around, just kind of not really interested and just waiting for the deal to get done. And so you're in this, maybe in a natural meditative state because you're not really focused on that directly because the dog knows what to do. So you just kind of in a natural theta state, maybe, theta, that's the wavelength of our brains get into in hypnosis as well as meditation. Yeah. So, and it's also the state of young children before when they hit 5 years old, it starts to change. But that's kind of the key. We often talk about kids being open. Well, maybe it's that, or maybe it's just something we all have. And if the presence is big enough and powerful enough, it'll punch through anything and you'll just know it's there. I think everybody's had that feeling in their life. I think at least most people can relate to this. Mm-hmm. Just going into a place and going, this doesn't feel right. I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. Let's go. And you don't always know why. And you may never, ever know why, but you just pay attention to it and you leave. And really, those could be saving your life. Those moments could be absolutely changing the entire dynamic. And you leaving could keep something horrible from happening or at least that you're not a part of something horrible happening.
Yeah.
So I think those are really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism. I mean, just like you were saying, like it could come all the way back from when we were, as you said, on the menu, when we were prey. Yeah. We had to be more careful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think there's a lot to be said for that. We just seem to be plugged in.
Now, one thing I did, what was that word? What did that word mean? It started with an A in that story. Is that a type of tree?
Arborvitae?
Yeah. What is that?
It's like those kind of pine bushes that people have, but they look more like cedar than they do pine. They're not like, they don't really have needles, but they got like these green paddles growing out of them.
Right. Okay, I see.
They're a real popular landscaping bush. I've got a few of them around this house, and I like them. They're real robust, and they fill in nice, and they can trim them, and they'll grow right back. So, but yeah, I think that's an arborvitae. So it's like a bush, but it was like in the shape of a man, and it was all the way up to the eaves, which is about 10 feet. So it was enormous. But then the person's
Indeed.
like, wait, there's no arborvitae over there. So, ooh, chills.
You find out there's no arborvitae over there.
Yeah, it looks like an arborvitae, but it was not an arborvitae. Yeah, very cool story. Again, thank you, Wes, letting us use that and talk about these stories on the show. I appreciate it, but that's always the big thing. People just know when they're being watched, and it's a great survival mechanism. Listen to your intuition. If you feel like something's not right, listen to it. God, just listen to it. Those things are maybe your guides, maybe it's your guardian angel, maybe it's just an extra sense that we have. Whatever it is, pay attention, because you got to trust your gut. And I think that's something that's kind of a newer idea in our societies, because, people always taught to ignore their feelings for generations, but now people are told, pay attention to them. And I think it's a great survival mechanism. But we're going to do some shout outs here, because I kind of neglected that throughout the show. So Sheldon, who's here?
All right, let's see who's chatting here on the YouTube side. We have Amanda S., Casey Jones, Deb Varner, Diane Fowler, Flyer Tuck, Ghost Magnet, Jake Fortes, John Stephenson.
Okay.
Lars Grass, Maggie M10, you're here. Rachel Gets It Right's here. Ruger Ridge, Ruthie Castro, Sugar Britches, The Unknown, The Fourth Color, and Wonder Woman. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here with us today.
Yep. Very cool. Thank you, guys. Flyer Tuck says, the U.S. Army recruited Native Americans in World War II for their tracking skills, but they soon found out when the Indians cut their hair to enter the Army, they just lost their abilities. Yeah, that's
interesting.
Really, allegedly a very true story.
Wow.
And now here's the thing. In a lot of First Nations culture, the hair is a person's power, and that's why long hair is really common. In my understanding, and I might be absolutely wrong, but in my understanding that the hair is equivalent to the power, to having power. And of course, to cut the hair would be to remove it. So is it psychosomatic? Maybe.
Could be.
Kind of like Samson, in the Bible, getting his hair cut, and all of a sudden he lost his strength because that hair was the connection to God. And he believed that, and so as a Nazarene, he wasn't allowed to cut his hair, but then it was cut for him, and that's how they kind of entrapped him and then dug out his eyes and all kinds of horribleness. But whether it's psychosomatic or something literal, I don't know, but it's very profound that was absolutely demonstrated, that the people that could track like crazy as soon as they cut their hair couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. So is the tracking ability kind of a sixth sense that somehow was cut off with the hair,
I wonder that too.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so you could look at it from a spiritual sense, or like a psychology sense. It's really kind of a doozy, even for me.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Now, it's alternatively, what I've heard is that the Buddhists believe that the hair is also tied to karma, and that's why they shave their head, is to clear that karma and be bald. I don't know if that's absolutely true or not, but it's something I heard years ago. So maybe, but it is interesting. But
and John, I apologize.
What for?
John said, I don't know if I should be offended or proud, my last name being butchered. Sorry.
Well, it's never intentional, of course.
No, it's not. I promise.
Yeah, it's just our ability to interpret the world around us sometimes. But
I'll get a little stuttering machine going,
Yeah, why not? A little stuttering never killed nobody. Yeah. All right, so that was from Sasquatch Chronicles. Now we're going to jump over to a couple of stories from Phantoms and Monsters. And this is Lon Strickler's site, Phantoms and Monsters. It's a great site. And Lon's been a pillar of the Fortean community forever, and his site has also been a real pillar of the communities. So if you're looking for great stories and investigative discussions and such, head over to Phantoms and Monsters. Lon's also a real established author of several books dealing with different cryptids and such, and he also has his own podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters Radio. So check it out. You'll find all of that information over at phantomsandmonsters.com. The story we're going to cover right now comes from Saturday, November 12th, and it's possible multiple Sasquatch attack woman at a pet cemetery. Oof. Oddly enough, there is a correlation between Bigfoot sightings and cemeteries, and I'm not sure what it is, but it is kind of curious that it does come up. So a retired nurse from Douglas County, Oregon, was in the process of burying her deceased cat in a family pet cemetery when rocks and branches were thrown at her by at least one Sasquatch. I'm a 70-year-old retired nurse and a 27-year veteran of the U.S. Navy and Army. I grew up in Oregon and frequently went hunting and fishing with my father. Every year since I could hold a fishing pole or legally hunt with him, I guess you might say that I knew most of the animals that are normally found in the area near where I lived and hunted during these expeditions into the wild. I've seen and heard and smelled anything that might be evidence of a Sasquatch that lived in the areas where we hunted. I've also been skeptical that such a creature existed even after the Patterson-Gimlin film was released. While I was on active duty, I came home from leave on a hunting season, which occurs around my dad's and my own birthday. The last hunting season that I went with my father before he could no longer hunt was near the area where my encounter would occur. We've seen bears, big cat, elk, and deer in that area. And I've had 3 cats. I have 3 cats, and I've always kept 3 since I left the active duty. My cats would age and pass on and bury them in the same area where all of our pets had been buried over the years. Since there are bears in the area of our little pet cemetery, I carry a sidearm when I'm up there. I also remain alert to the sounds around me. One of my cats passed away the day before the encounter on June 18th. On the afternoon of the 19th, I took him up to the little pet cemetery below Harness Mountain, which is located in Douglas County, Oregon. I was digging the small grave and was nearly done when I heard what I thought was a bear moving through the brush on the small hill above the pond. The breeze shifted and I got a whiff of a strong, musky odor. Let's see. I thought I had a bear either stalking me or just passing close by. I drew my pistol and chambered around, and what happened next caught me totally by surprise. There was a loud grunt, and something started to stomp through the trees. It was snapping branches, making stomping sounds like hollow drum beats. Well, I finished digging the grave while the creature circled me, stomping and grunting. And when it was opposite of me across the pond, it picked up a big rock about the size of a medium watermelon and threw it across the pond towards me. It landed a short distance from the bank and splashed water up to where I was digging. Well, this was disconcerting, so I finished the burial without any ceremony, and I stacked up some large rocks on the grave that I had hauled up with me to protect it. Then I got ready to leave and hike to my truck. I loaded my tools back into the pickup and got ready to drive off, and I heard another loud grunt from the hill behind me. I got in and pulled out on the main road and started to drive away. As I passed through a clump of brush near the swampy area, a rock came flying from the brush and hit my windshield, knocking a big round chip out of it. Down the road, a long piece of branch hit the pickup and landed in the bed. I sped up and got out of there. The rock that hit the windshield had dropped down into the opening between the windshield and under the rear edge of the hood. It was larger than a softball, and the branch measured 8 feet long with 4 inches thick along the length. It was too large and too heavy to have been easily thrown by a human. After reflecting on this encounter, there must have been more than one of them, based on the distance between where the rock was thrown and where the branch was thrown. I went back up there a couple of weeks later to check on the fresh grave and to be sure that it had not been dug up by a wild predator. I planted some native iris. The new grave was untouched, but on top of the 3 little graves, I found some large flat river rocks that had been placed on top. The nearest source for those types of rocks was 15 miles away. As I was leaving on this trip, another rock was thrown at my pickup. It was as I drove away, and this one landed in the bed, doing no damage. The rock was close to the same type and size as those being used on the newer logging roads in the area. In the summer of 2019, it was a dry year and many of the springs had dried up. The pond was probably the only source of water nearby. These creatures may have been trying to drive me away so that they could access the water. I never saw the creatures that I encountered, but one thing is for sure. Bears don't stomp, nor can they throw rocks or sticks. I've heard later that when Sasquatch throws rocks, they lob them underhanded, but the rocks that were thrown at me were thrown with a flat trajectory like a baseball. I didn't take time to search for the tracks or any of the evidence of what had been trying to intimidate me. I felt that I was not welcome in that area, at least while I was here. I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. That's a pretty intense get the hell out. Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if especially the strength behind those throws, I'm sure.
I don't know how far
Or
the
at least
distance
that
would be, yeah. But a softball-sized rock is no joke. I mean, it's
Oh,
much
yeah.
heavier than a softball.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows how far it would travel to hit the truck, but God.
That's crazy, though. 15 miles that those rocks came from that were placed upon the graves. That's interesting.
It is.
Wow.
It's almost a sweet gesture, I guess. You know, like, hey, we'll take care of it from here. You know, but very unusual.
Yeah.
Very
Wow.
very unusual. Okay. Well, it's a great story. I'm sure glad the person made it out okay. I guess if a softball-sized rock hits your windshield and all it does is chip it, that's a pretty good windshield. I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, that tells me that they're definitely not like trying to throw full force. It's more like
Right.
a warning type of thing.
Yep. Just, hey,
Yeah.
get out of here. We're going to throw stuff at you till you leave. So now we got a story. Go ahead.
Ghost Magnet says, I heard somewhere that obsidian and Bigfoot are often found in the same place. Have you heard of anything like that?
I've heard quartz. Quartz areas tend to be where you'll find Bigfoot and Bigfoot activity. Areas with a lot of quartz. But I don't think I've heard of obsidian, but I know that obsidian was used in a lot of... I think obsidian was used at least for arrowheads and stuff, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I guess I haven't heard that directly, but I think it's basically like glass. So it would be very sharp if it was chipped away and stuff, but I don't know. I hadn't heard that, but that's very interesting. All right. We got one more story to get through before the end of the show. And this is Camper's Bigfoot Mind Speak Encounter in George Washington National Forest. So we're heading back into the Bigfoot world. This time with Mindspeak, and I think Mindspeak is a pretty fascinating topic because, I don't know, they got these huge brain areas. So maybe Mindspeak is just part of their skill set. I don't know.
Fascinating indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So let's read this. A man and his sons are camping for the night in George Washington National Forest. They hear whoops. They get closer. He is soon facing the Bigfoot and begins to Mindspeak with it. This is what myself and my son experienced. I don't pay attention to the time, so I apologize for the lack of these details. The location of our encounter was the George Washington National Forest between Harrisburg, Virginia, and Franklin, West Virginia, and the time was 8 to 10 years ago. It was an abnormally nice day, in essence. It was a cool summer day, and I asked my son if you'd like to go camping for the night due to the fair weather, just to get out. And he agreed, and we went off. And off we went. We arrived in the early afternoon. The parking was along the 2-lane rural highway with small pullouts and extensive 4-wheel drive trails on the opposite sides of the road. We weren't fishing, so I decided to take us to a less traveled side. We hiked in until we found a good-looking location, a natural clearing and not far from a small creek. I'm not much for planning, so I really had no agenda other than just being in nature. We started collecting a fire as it would be dark and we'd like to cook our hot dogs. And around then we heard a whoop from the ridge a couple of 100 yards off. We both heard it. I told my son it was probably a Bigfoot. We were losing light, and then we heard the whoop from a gully opposite of the ridge. It was a nearby knob. There was a nearby knob? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
Some serious crashing sounds were coming from it. We both stopped and looked. I could see the trees getting thrashed about in a direct line to us. My son was nervous. I tried to rationalize it. I could see no animal. I could hear no boulder clacking, but it was easy to see the trees moving against the skyline. When the thrashing got to the bottom of the hill, it made a 90-degree turn and soon went quiet. I told my son that we would have to deal with something and build up the fire. It was dark now, but the fire was illuminating the area around us. We started getting pebbles tossed at us. We noticed glowing red eyes from behind a small tree that grew up in the middle of the large bush at the edge of our clearing. I asked my son if he could see it, and he said he did. I put myself between the fire and the eyes. My son started walking toward it, and I told him not to go over there and to come near me. I picked up some pebbles and moved to about 25 feet from our visitor. I pitched pebbles at it. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, and I figured if I tossed rocks at the animal, it would move. And this is when my son said that I should not throw rocks at it. He was scared. I said that it started the rock throwing, and I'm not some fearless hero, generally speaking, but I think before I react, this is when I was thinking, what do you want? The answer came quickly. I moved closer. I wasn't sure what I was dealing with, and I was excited about communicating with it. I stared this bugger in the eyes from no more than 20 feet away and commenced to think at it. I explained that I have no idea. I have an idea of who it was. However, I needed confirmation. I asked you to wink at me. Then out loud, I told it again, and then it winked. Then I winked at it. 2 seconds later, it winked back. I laughed a smile. I explained that I understood it's just like humans and feel that I have the same feelings, but that my son and I are not here to cause anyone harm. Please leave. We are honored by its presence, and we will be leaving in the morning. However, you have scared my son, and I'm out of patience. Thankfully, the Bigfoot left. Huh.
Wow.
Mind speak. It didn't really mind speak to him. He was just kind of mind speaking at it.
Yeah.
So the question is, are they able to just receive our thoughts, or do they just project theirs? Well, apparently, if this is a genuine story, and I have no reason to believe that it's not, then maybe they can just hear our thoughts, you know?
Wow. Didn't he say he mind spoke at it and there was no reaction, and then he said it out loud?
Yeah, but then everything else, it sounds like he mind spoke.
Oh.
You know, like, hey, we're just going to leave in the morning. We don't want any trouble, but you've already scared us. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. I really like the idea that these things are that sentient, that, you know, you could just say, hey, you know, I'm just here to camp for the night. We're just trying to get out and get away, and we're trying to relax, and leave us alone. I mean, I don't know if I'd say leave us alone, but I'd just say, you know, we mean you no harm, and we're not disrespecting you. We're just trying to share your beautiful home, you know, or something.
Gemini has a good point too. Gemini Moon says, I think they can feel our intentions and hear our
Sure.
thoughts. Whether it's both or one or the other. I think that's really interesting too. Even if it's just feeling out what our intentions are, I think that
Sure.
still speaks a great deal.
Well, there's not a lot of difference between empathy and telepathy, I don't think, because both are conveyed level of personal energy. Meaning that if you're empathic, you can feel a person's energy. You can feel whether they're agitated, happy, sad,
Hmm.
whatever, without uttering a word. Now, how different is that between what they're feeling and then what they're thinking? Oftentimes we translate our feelings into words. This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that.
Right.
So it's just the very next step or a lateral step or something between words and the vibes. So
Mhm.
I think if you're an empathic person, I don't think it's a real leap to say that you could be telepathic as well. It's
Oh,
all
yeah, I
because
see what you're saying.
thoughts are energy as well. Our thoughts exist first as energy, and then we wrap those thoughts in words in order to deliver them in a manner that people can receive. But
Mhm.
perhaps, perhaps that's kind of a universal thing, and so then you can just send your thoughts without wrapped in words, and it could be received by the person or being or whatever. I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said for this stuff, and I think that this might be some of what Tesla was alluding to about discussing or researching the non-physical, and that will make more strides. Because imagine, well, I think it's a double-edged sword, but I think the fact that people could push into your mind could be a really unnerving thing. Like, well, that's my sacred space. I don't want you in there. But I'm sure there's ways you can guard against that as well. Like, if you don't want to have people read your mind, you can probably shut them down. You can just create a barrier. Like, nope, you're not coming through. But how much more? The kitty's starting to wake up. He
I hear
he's been
that.
napping in the chair and now he just woke up. He wants out. Oh, the door's shut. Wow. He never outgrew that kitten thing. But I think that's thoughts and feelings are very closely intertwined, and one is not very different from the other. So, just my thoughts. I don't know. It's again just spitballing ideas as we talk about this stuff because I think it's all absolutely profound and fascinating, and it's part of the journey here on the Paranormal Portal. But what do you think, Sheldon? Between telepathy and empathy.
No, I think you're right on the money. Is that empathy is connected or like a step prior to telepathy. And I mean, if everything's energy, and we're all energy anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so absolutely. I mean, yeah,
Rachel says,
yeah.
could people be mind controlled to create tulpas? Sure. I mean, if people can be mind controlled, if someone is able to be taken over so completely, then could something make you project something? Sure. Maybe that's why they see these weird things instead of maybe what's really there. Like some of these one-off cryptid stories, like, oh, I saw this weird creature, nobody ever saw it before, and I looked and can't find anything else like it. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a thought form that was projected from you or made to project from you. I don't know. That's a great question. I suppose it's possible. I mean, again, it's all wild speculation. I don't pretend to know any of this stuff, but I find it all fascinating. And again, the lines between the phenomena get really blurry sometimes, and it's not very dissimilar to communicating with spirits in a psychic sense versus communicating with cryptids. If they are indeed intelligence, then we can talk to them. We can share ideas or at least share feelings or thoughts. So I don't think it's a real far leap. And then again, it also comes up in UFO abductions. A lot of times these aliens aren't moving their mouth at all, but people are getting these things projected into their heads. So I think we're a lot more open than we realize we are. We just have never been taught how to focus in on that or really tune it in. And it's kind of the mystery of the whole thing. So
Even assuming that you believe in holes and all that, of course.
Leave
I
it
mean,
what?
in a sense, this is a meat bag being controlled by a spirit, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we are energetic first. We're not physical. And even physical matter is a vibration of energy, right? So
Hmm.
it's all energy. So anyway, I think that's been a great journey. What do you think?
I think it's been an amazing journey.
Well, good.
Actually,
I hope you all agree, actually. And I hope
yeah.
you guys have enjoyed your time with us here on the Paranormal Portal. And again, watch for the podcast, as always. That'll be coming out on Monday. And that's on all the podcast players, iTunes, iHearts, Pandora, Spotify, and a bunch more, Stitcher, Podbean, etc., etc. So whatever you listen to podcasts on, look for the Paranormal Portal, and we'd love your support there as well. And check out Teespring. Teespring's our site. Remember, we have a second channel, and our second channel is something that Sheldon's been spending a lot of time developing, and that is youtube.com/paranormal portal pieces. And for those of you that aren't familiar with this, what this site is, as soon as it loads up, my computer's so doggy, I got to restart it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming. Here it comes. It's finally spinning.
I got links in the chat if anybody needs to.
We'd love to have you guys come and subscribe over there as well. What the Paranormal Portal Pieces is it's our site to take these long 2-hour form shows and create short versions of them. Look at that. It's just loading so slow. Here it comes. But Sheldon's put together a whole series of videos that are excerpts from a lot of these shows, including the Pickle Rick baby. And you'll have to, if you missed the live show, you'll see it. But if you missed the live shows and you don't have the time to go back and watch a long archive of them, stop over to Paranormal Portal Pieces and get subscribed. And you can check out when we release new ones. And there's a bunch of them here. If you look at the videos, God, I don't know how long this is going to take, but there's several there of historical evidence or historical interviews we've done with people like Bobo and Ron Moorhead and the Australia Yowie Research talking about their thermal stuff and their investigating, and Chris Everhard has been on there, Jim Bear King of the Bigfoot Outlaws, Dean Harrison of AYR, Bobo from Finding Bigfoot has been on the show. There's lots of shows over here to check out, and these are the smaller formats. You'll find links in each of these to watch the full episode if you want to. But if you want to just catch up on some of this stuff in a quick and fun format, then check out the Paranormal Portal Pieces. And it's literally youtube.com/paranormal portal pieces. So all one word. And check it out. We love your support over there, folks, because we've had this for a while and we're only at 456 subscribers. It's like, oh, come on. So we love your love over there. If you're not already subscribed to the Paranormal Portal Pieces, it's just clips and highlights and shorter format videos, nothing longer than 15, 20 minutes, but most of them are around 10 minutes. So check them out, and we hope you'll do that and support that as well. So that's the other thing to do. And of course, our Teespring site is linked below if you want to check out in the description of the video. If you want to check out our gear and you're looking for some kind of stocking stuffer for some Paranormal Portal fans, blah, then that's where you'll find it. Yeah, I know. It's been a long day. I've been just grinding away for days now and weeks, actually. So I'm really running on fumes, but I'm feeling good. Barely coughing tonight as well, so that was good.
And if you guys want to get involved with our Discord channel, I posted the link right in the chat. Go ahead and join that. That's how you get involved with our questions of the week, of course, which are the 3 questions for our 3 shows of the week that we go over. So if you want to get involved with the community on their wonderful links and tabs that people are getting involved in, go ahead and join the Discord.
Get involved, folks. We love you guys bunches, and please get involved everywhere you can and spread the word. Let people know about the portal. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And we'll see you on next Wednesday for the next live show, but watch for the podcast on Monday. And keep touching base. Check out paranormalportal.net. That's the base hub for all Paranormal Portal stuff, including all the social media. You'll find links to everything on top. And there's a P.O. box for anybody that wants to send anything listed on the bottom of the page. That's paranormalportal.net. So I would love to see you visit there. I put that together. I'm just saying, I'm trying to keep everything fresh and new, so because we love you. But you guys take care. Have a good night. Good night, John. Thanks for coming in. And you guys have a great rest of your weekend and a great beginning of the week. And we'll be waiting for you here on Wednesday night for another episode. So love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Did it twice. That's how much I mean it.
It's the Minnesota goodbye.
Yeah. Bye. 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 Never goodbye.
See you next time.
Just see you later.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.